Hi, salam sejahtera. Welcome to Virtual Venture Vacation. My name is Chua Ing Han. Today, I'm going to bring you to one of the most beautiful city in Malaysia known as Putrajaya. Due to this new city, it is very well planned, very beautiful, and too many touristic places. As such, I have to divide this video into two parts. So basically, today I'm going to share with you about the history and then, of course, the unique architectural buildings in Putrajaya. So what is Putrajaya actually? Putrajaya is actually the administration center of Malaysia. So as such, it is one of the newest city in Malaysia. The location is actually about 25 kilometers away from Kuala Lumpur. It is actually at the southern part of Kuala Lumpur. Now, it was actually mooted again by our fourth Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir, in 1993. And he wanted this place to be the administration center of Malaysia. He mentioned that Putrajaya, the new federal government administrative center, will be a city that characterizes the spirit of Malaysia in its fullest sense in the 21st century when it is completed. Putrajaya will symbolize the nation's aspirations. Of course, one of his dreams is to have Malaysia as a developed nation. As such, he felt Malaysia ought to have such an administration center in order to be a developed nation. So this name Putrajaya was actually named after our very first Prime Minister, that is Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra Al-Haj. Putra is in Malay, actually, it means prince, because our first Prime Minister was actually a prince in Kedah. And in Malaysia, you might find a lot of towns or cities ended up by the name of Jaya. Jaya as in Malay means success actually. Okay. So in the world actually, there are a lot of countries, they have already had their own administrative center. Just like, for example, in America, they have New York as their, of course, their own capital, and then Washington as their administrative center. Now, Australia, the capital is Sydney, and then the administrative center will be in Canberra. So it's the same goes to Malaysia, whereby our capital is still Kuala Lumpur, and our latest newest city is actually Putrajaya, the administrative center as well. So what are the reasons for moving from Kuala Lumpur to Putrajaya? Actually, there are a lot of reasons. One of the reasons, of course, reason number one is to relieve Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur has been a developed city. Of course, the population is getting more and more. So basically, that's the reason why if we shift the city, the administrative center, yeah, so basically it can relieve Kuala Lumpur in a way. And then, of course, the buildings formerly which were used are basically old. And of course, there are increase in demand for the government office spaces. And furthermore, of course, a lot of these buildings were already too old. In fact, some of the buildings which are used was left by the former British administrative. For example, the Sultan Abdul Samad building formerly was used as the court. So basically, all these are shifted to Putrajaya to actually to meet the demand as well. And of course, this is very important to have a well-planned administrative center, because you see, during the olden days, where in Kuala Lumpur, all the government offices are scattered around in Kuala Lumpur. Of course, they are not in a proper or basically in one area. So according to the government, of course, when the administrative center is all in one area, of course, generally it will be very easy for them to be more cooperative and to communicate with each other. So as such, all the administrative centers or the government buildings or departments are all centered into one place. And over here, of course, initially, there are a lot of places being proposed. The first one, of course, is the Sepang Coastal Strip, which is actually where the KLIA or Kuala Lumpur International Airport was located. The second one, which was proposed, is actually the northwest of Rawang. That is a northern part of Kuala Lumpur in Selangor, actually. And the third one is Portishead, a township which is located by the seaside as well. And then we have the Jandabai, which is actually located in Pahang, yeah, on the way, actually is very nearby to Genting Highlands as well. And then the fifth one is actually Kenaboy, which is also a small township in Negeri Sembilan. And finally, Dr. Mahathir decided to choose Putrajaya as the location and as the location for the new administrative center. And formerly, this place name was actually Perang Besar. Yeah, Perang Besar. Perang Besar in Malay, it means a big war, because there was a big war in the World War II against the Japanese. And as such, this place was named as Perang Besar during the olden days. Now, this location was chosen for its unique or strategic location. The main reason is because Putrajaya is actually located on the southern part, which is about 25 kilometers away from Kuala Lumpur. And then further south is about 20 kilometers away. That is the KLIA, or the Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Meaning to say, Putrajaya is actually located right in the middle between Kuala Lumpur and the Kuala Lumpur International Airport. And furthermore, on the west side, that is about 50 kilometers away, that is Port Klang. That is the biggest port in Malaysia. So basically, it means Putrajaya is actually a very, very strategic location, and it's a fantastic location, all right? And furthermore, of course, there have been planned another very important element to support Putrajaya is actually the multi-super corridor. That is basically on using the internet, yeah, to develop the whole administrative center. And of course, the site's been chosen, yeah, is because this place was formerly an area of rubber estates and also the palm oil estates. So basically, it has the good natural environment for development. And this is also a very good location because nearby to Putrajaya is actually, we have the Bangi, Dengkil, Kajang, etc. So due to this township has been developed, so basically it has all the routes and it is well equipped with all the necessary routes, or basically you can say that it is easily accessible, right? Now, another reason, yeah, for choosing this site is because, of course, generally due to it was a rubber estate and also palm oil, and that is really a low density of population in this area. So basically, it has a minimal disruption to the local community as well. And then, of course, because of this, to build the whole city, it will also have a low cost, right? And then, of course, the government can easily acquire the land due to its low cost as well. And then, of course, yeah, in actually 1995, the government chose, in parliament, they chose the concept city in a garden, intelligent city concept. Of course, there have been various proposals by various companies, yeah. For example, linear city, you know. Then our government decided the best concept to have this city is actually the city in a garden concept. And in fact, the whole city concept, the garden city concept, was actually by Mr. Kun Lim, the lead designer of Putrajaya from 1994 to 1996. Mr. Kun Lim was actually hails from the north of Malaysia. He mentioned before, actually, he was brought up in a very environmental conscious family. At his own old home, his father built a house. Can you imagine? Old house, but yet it is very, very environmental conscious. How conscious they are is that they even have a pool right in the middle of the house, whereby when it rains, the whole area of the house, all the rainwater will flow into the middle of the pool, whereby they can still use the rainwater. So basically, it is a recyclable water and very, very environmental conscious. And that's the reason why, basically, due to his brought up historically, so anything that Mr. Kun Lim designed basically will have the water element into it. So that's the reason why in Putrajaya, one of the very unique part in Putrajaya is the lake, man-made lake, that is the water element found in Putrajaya. Now, this city, of course, was truly proud Malaysians built them because it is wholly built and designed by Malaysians. And besides this, the government has also announced that 90% material used for buildings should be made from Malaysia. And the whole city itself should portray Malaysia's rich culture and heritage. That's the reason why when you go right up to the city of Putrajaya, you will have, you can feel yourself, that it really portrays the culture and heritage of Malaysia. For example, the moment you go into Putrajaya, right, at the highway itself, you can see that those light poles itself, it is designed so unique, so beautiful, that it even have the Malay culture, the Malay culture items into it. Like for example, one of it is like, for example, the hat, the tengkolo, or we call it in Malay, the tengkolo of the Malay. We have so many items which portray the rich culture in Putrajaya itself. Then, over here, I'm going to share with you the chronology of events on the development of Putrajaya. And as mentioned, in 1993, Tun Dr. Mahathir mooted the idea. And then in 1994, the garden city concept was approved by cabinet. Of course, as mentioned earlier on, there are a lot of concepts being proposed, and the cabinet decided to choose on the garden city concept. Then in 1995, the Putrajaya master plan approved by the cabinet, meaning to say, actually, it is not only Tun Dr. Mahathir's decision, it is actually the parliament, the cabinet decision on having the whole Putrajaya as well. And then in 1995, August, Tun Dr. Mahathir officially launched the Putrajaya project. And in 1996, they have a review of Putrajaya master plan. Now you might be questioning on why there is a review on the whole master plan. Of course, yeah, which is very, very important, Putrajaya, yeah, due to its importance. Of course, Malaysia can't afford to have any mistake. So it's very important that this city is going to bring the inspiration, the proud to Malaysians. So as such, it has to be carefully planned. That's the reason why there is a review of the Putrajaya master plan in 1996. Then, in fact, in 1996, the whole construction commenced. And then in 1999, the Prime Minister moved to Putrajaya. Of course, the first Prime Minister who moved to the Putrajaya was Tun Dr. Mahathir during that time. Then, in 2001, Putrajaya was declared as the third federal territory of Malaysia. So as such, in Malaysia, we have three federal territories in Malaysia, that is Kuala Lumpur, Labuan, and Putrajaya. Then finally, in 2011, all ministries moved to Putrajaya. For your information, actually, yeah, the Putrajaya was actually built, the plan was actually, they have three phases. Yeah, the first phase was actually 1996 right up to 1999. And then the second phase was actually 2000 right up to 2004. And then the third phase was actually 2005 right up to 2008. Now, why there is a delay right up to 2011? The main reason was actually because during the building stages in 1997, of course, Malaysia was badly affected by the financial crisis as well. So due to the financial crisis, that's the reason why the whole project of Putrajaya was delayed right up to 2011. So basically, the whole Putrajaya now was actually being ready built. Yeah. So now I'm going to share with you the implementation mechanism. How come? Yeah, how they are so successful in building the whole new city. So basically, this implementation mechanism was actually divided into four big corporations or companies. The first one is actually the Putrajaya Corporation. The second is Putrajaya Holdings BERHAD. The third is actually the utility companies, and then finally the fourth is KLCC PB. So over here, I'm going to explain to you each of the companies, each of the corporations, the function of them over here. Yeah, of course, the first one is actually Putrajaya Corporation. Basically, the Putrajaya Corporation is the plan, develop, manage, and administer the city, or they are the local authority or local planning authority. For example, if you simply park your car in Putrajaya, so if you got fined, you will fine, right? So who fined you is actually the Putrajaya Corporation is the main body which fined you. They want to, of course, ensure, yeah, the whole administration of the city. Now, the second one is actually the Putrajaya Holdings. So Putrajaya Holdings is actually the main developer, yeah, the main, of course, the construction of government offices, commercial areas, residential premises, and the main infrastructure. So they are actually the main body which plan and to manage the whole big area, yeah, and of course to even market the whole Putrajaya as well, right? And then, of course, the third body will be the utilities companies, which is very, very important for the development of the city as well. TM is actually Telecom Malaysia, yeah, that is for the telecommunication purposes. the Naga National is the electricity, and then the gas district cooling BERHAD, that is the basically the cooling method for Putrajaya. I will share with you shortly about this. And then we have the Shabas, that is the water supply, and then finally the gas supply to the Putrajaya as well. And then of course finally is the KLCC, property holdings BERHAD, that is the Twin Tower main company. So basically they are the project manager, which actually also contributes to building the whole city, the buildings in Putrajaya as well. So basically the Putrajaya being built up under the whole planning concept, three main parts, that is man and creator, man and man, man and environment. And the first concept itself, man and creator, that's the reason why the first building which was built, the very first one which was built in Putrajaya, is actually the Pink Mosque, or known as the Putra Mosque, as you can see over here, right? The second is actually the man and man. Man and man, because Malaysia consists of multi-racial population. So of course, it is very important that we men and men should communicate more. As such, you can see that, the houses in Putrajaya, they are actually built without fencing at all. It's just like those houses which are found in the Malay villages, the kampong. So basically those Malay houses, they don't have the fencing, which actually encourages more communication between men and men. So as such, when there's a good communication exists between men and men, very naturally there'll be good cooperation, and of course, the whole nation will be like a family building the country. And then of course, finally, which is also one very important concept, that is man and environment. So one of the most very successful element over here is that you can see the man-made lake, that is the one part of it is known as the wetlands. The wetlands is actually a man-made one right in the city center as well. So over here, the Putrajaya Master Plan key features is actually covers an area of about 5,000 hectares, or basically is about 50 square kilometer as well. And this whole area is actually divided into 20 precincts, or basically precincts is a district or area which is found in Putrajaya. So the core part is actually precinct 1 to 5, which is actually located right in an island, man-made island, because the whole area is actually surrounded by the lake. So these 5 precincts are actually located right in the middle of the island and known as the Central Business District, or CBD. Then 40% of the city is actually designated as a green open space and lake. Of course, Malaysia is always emphasizing on the importance of environment. So as such, even we built this city, 40% of the city is actually greenery all the way. So man-made lake as microclimated moderator and serve as sports and recreational purpose due to it has a man-made lake over here. So basically you can find a lot of water activities can be found at this area as well. And of course, water not only moderate the climate, it also beautify the whole city. And over there, it has the wetlands as mentioned. So the wetlands as natural filtration and natural habitat as well. For your information, actually, right in the whole Putrajaya city, okay, there are two rivers. One river is known as the Chua River, another is the Bisa River. So these two rivers, the water flow into the lake. And then how do they function as the natural filtration? Actually, the designers are fantastic. They purposely design the lake where it has a few stages or layers. So when the water flows from the higher part to the lower part, basically the water has been filtered naturally. And furthermore, they have actually planted nearly 100 species of aqua plants, and they have also reared about 50 species of fish into the lake. So the aqua plant and also the fish basically functions as the natural filtration for the water. So that's the reason why the water, as it flows from the river right up to the city center, when you are at the lakeside, especially near the Pink Mosque, you can see the water is crystal clear. Now, the water is crystal clear. How it can be like that? Just as I've mentioned, it is almost very healthy to drink the water directly, very near. But of course, it has to be boiled, as usual. Okay, and then 38 kilometers of the waterfront created along the lake and wetlands due to its man-made lake. Of course, naturally there are a lot of the waterfront being created. Okay, and then 13 metropolitan parks with different themes and functions. So basically, the whole city surrounded by parks and gardens throughout the whole area. So that's the reason why Putrajaya is also known as the Garden City. So basically, the Garden City or the Green City itself, one of the proof is you can see over here, the crushed rocks blasted are reused in the construction of rock-filled dam to reduce the cost of construction. So basically, this is what we call it as the recycle as well. So those rocks that you see at the dam over here, they are actually from the blast of the rocks. And then those minute ones or the smaller ones, they are actually used to pave the roads. So these are what we call it as recycle for the green city. And furthermore, how come the wetlands is so successful? I can share with you one very good proof on the successful of these wetlands. In the evening, if you ever drive to Putrajaya, especially from between about 6 o'clock in the evening right up to about 7:15, you can easily find a lot of birds actually standing on the pole of the lights. So this is one good proof where you can see those birds can actually live in these man-made wetlands. Another proof is that, of course, even especially during this period of time in end of the year, November and December, of course, even migratory birds flew to this place. And this is how I would say that how successful that this whole wetlands is. So how come it can be so successful? From the green city, that is the one of it is whereby when, as mentioned, the whole area was actually the palm oil estate. So when they, of course, chop down the palm oil, they let the trees decompose itself. When the whole tree decomposed itself, it became mulch, and then of course, it will fertilize the whole area of the Putrajaya. So basically, yeah, another very important element of the environmental conscious is actually where compulsory use of centralized chilled water for air conditioning purposes of buildings in the central business district. Yeah, there was once I brought a group of those city planners to Putrajaya, and they mentioned, yeah, they mentioned what are ways that they are not really very environmental conscious, because they in Malaysia we are tropical climate, and then they use those buildings are using a lot of glasses, whereby a lot of those energy are used to cool the building. And of course, I knew about the concept, so I am able to share to them, and they were actually very, very surprised, whereby actually the whole core precinct 1 to 5, every building in the whole core island, they are actually using the centralized chilled water. How can this be done? The centralized chilled water unit is actually just like in the picture over here, all right? So they have actually two cooling parts. One which is the cool water, chilled water being pumped to the respective building. So when the cool water reach the respective building, the water is being recycled, and then of course using the fan to blow out the cooling air to the building, and that's how the whole building is being air conditioned. And then of course, as when the water being aired out, of course slowly it will get hot, and then this hot water is being pumped back to this centralized unit. So basically the water is being cycled again and again, and that's how it's actually a very, very green building concept that you can find in Putrajaya as well. And ladies and gentlemen, throughout this video, you will find that I'm using those maps. Actually, these maps, I got it from the Putrajaya Corporation, right? And then over here in Putrajaya, one of the very, very main road, or we call it as the boulevard, which is actually from the Prime Minister office right up to the PICC, which stands for the Putrajaya International Convention Center. Yeah, so over here you can see this boulevard. Yeah, Putrajaya Boulevard is actually the length of it from the Prime Minister's office, which is the green color dome, as you can see in the picture over here, right up to the end of the road. That is the PICC as mentioned, right? It is 4.2 kilometer, and the width of the road is actually about 100 meter. So you can imagine the whole this boulevard itself is the main backbone of the city center or the core island itself. Yeah. So of course, why it is like that? Actually, yeah, the inspiration, the designers had this inspiration from two places of the world. One of it is actually from Isfahan, Iran, and then the second one is actually from the Champs Elysees of Paris in France. Yeah, so basically, this area, yeah, is going to be one of the most having activities in the whole city. So basically, there will be a lot of festivals, a lot of great things going on. That's the reason why they ensure that this road is long enough and also wide enough to handle all these activities and also festivals going on in the area. So of course, due to its unique, yeah, of this Putrajaya, I'm going to share with you some amazing architectural wonders in Putrajaya. So ladies and gentlemen, please bear in mind, yeah, all the buildings built in Putrajaya, they should have three elements. Firstly, of course, it has to have its own unique design. That's very important. Of course, second, it has to portray our local heritage and culture. And then thirdly, which is very important, about the environmental conscious again. So as such, you will find that all the buildings found in Putrajaya, actually, they are designed very, very unique and very beautiful. One of it is actually the Putra, Perdana Putra, which is actually the Prime Minister's office. So in this map itself, yeah, right on the left-hand side, the green color is actually the Prime Minister's office. So along the Putrajaya Boulevard, very, very straight road, 4.2 kilometers, right up to the right-hand side, the blue color one is actually the PICC. And I'm going to share with you each and every very unique building found around this one whole area. Okay. Now the second, which is very unique building, which is just a stone throw away only from the Prime Minister's office, that is the Putra Mosque, or we call it the Pink Mosque. Now and then, yeah, it's just by the side of this Prime Minister's office. Then right in front of both of these main buildings, that is, we call it the Dataran Putra, or basically the Putra Square. So if you are looking from the sky or the bird view, you find the Putra Square actually, they have this design whereby it has the first one, where from the outer layer, that is, it has 11 pointed stars, and then as you go inside, you have the 13 pointed stars, and then the deepest inside is actually the 14 pointed stars. What do they signify? It actually signify the number of states found in Malaysia through the history. So, because in Malaysia, when we basically had our independence and our country by the time, at that time, the name is actually Malaya, and Malaya at the time consists of 11 states. So that's the reason why we have the 11 pointed stars. And then later in 1963, of course, Sabah and Sarawak joined Malaya, and that's the time where Malaya name changed to Malaysia. So that's the reason why we have 13 states where it was represented by the 13 pointed stars. And then, of course, why it is 14? It is because through the government of Malaysia, which later felt there is a need of the federal territories. So as mentioned, we have three federal territories. Yeah, that is Kuala Lumpur, Labuan, and Putrajaya. So that's the reason why we have 13 states plus the federal territory, and it became the 14 pointed stars. So the Putra, basically the Putra Square is actually right in front of the Prime Minister's office, or the Pink Mosque. And then again, within walking distance, just nearby is the very, very unique bridge. One of the most beautiful bridge is actually the Putra Bridge. For information, actually, this bridge was very unique in a way that it has two layers. On the top part is actually for the normal vehicle, and the bottom part, which is hidden, which has been covered up, where we can't see, whereby it's actually planned already. They have already built it. It's just too bad that they can't have that, not feasible enough to have the monorail yet. So basically, that's the reason why you can't see any monorail in Putrajaya yet. But it has been planned over there. Okay. And then the location, is as found in the map over here. All right. And then if you are at the lakeside, of course, or at the bridge just now, as mentioned, just look opposite of the lake, you'll find this very unique building, which is actually the Putrajaya Holdings. So basically, as mentioned, Putrajaya Holdings is actually the management part of the whole or the local authority of the Putrajaya. Then you can see, yeah, that another very unique building, that is the Ministry of Finance. Yeah, very beautiful. Okay, then we have the white colored domes. Yeah, white, of course, to signify pure. That is the Palace of Justice of Malaysia. Okay, now if you see in the map over here, just opposite, especially right in the center of the whole island, yeah, that is where the Palace of Justice is. And then opposite, right opposite, is actually the Putrajaya Corporation, which is also the main core bodies of the Putrajaya. Okay, just right opposite only, yeah. Okay, and then right furthermore, yeah, you can see basically five very unique buildings. The lowest from the left hand side is actually the Attorney General's chambers, or basically the main office of the main lawyer of Malaysia. Then, yeah, the second building is the Ministry of Rural and Regional Development. The third one, which has a very unique slope, as you can see over here, that is the Ministry of Information, Communication and Culture. And then we have the Ministry of Housing and Local Government. And finally, yeah, Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development. Okay, so you can see that these four buildings is actually almost the end of the island on the right hand side. And then nearby, yeah, that you can see the PICC, it stands for Putrajaya International Convention Center. So a lot of people will say that this building looks very unique, like the Ultraman, okay, because of the top part, yeah, the roof part. Actually, this building was designed by a very famous local architectural design by the name of Hijaz Kasturi. Hijaz Kasturi actually designed a lot of very unique buildings which are found in Kuala Lumpur. For example, the Maybank, which is the main dagger of Malaysia. And then we have the telecom building, which is the rebung, or basically you can see the bamboo shoots of which you can find in the Malay villages. And then we have the Tabung Haji, whereby it's a local authority bank to help the Muslims to save the money so that they can go for their pilgrimage. Yeah, that is the pilgrimage. Yeah, okay. So basically, the for the Haji building, it looks like a Malay drum. Very unique. So that's the reason why basically you can say that Hijaz Kasturi built those buildings. He got his ideas from the Malay cultural items. So this for your information, all right, this PICC actually it resembles the Malay belt buckle, or in Malay is known as, we call it as PENDIN. Okay. Now it is actually located right towards the end on the right hand side of the island. Okay. And then of course you will need the bridge to cross the island. So basically there are so many besides those buildings which you can see right in the core of the island. And of course those within its vicinity is the Sri Perdana. Sri Perdana is actually the main house, the main house of the Prime Minister. Okay, it's actually on the slightly north part of the Prime Minister's office. Then as you get from the highway, for sure you will come into or bypass this very unique building. This is actually the Melawati Palace. Now, why we have this palace? Of course, we have the main palace in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, now that is the national palace. Now, this Melawati palace is actually where our king, yeah, wanted to entertain those important dignitaries from the foreign dignitaries in Putrajaya. So the king is able to accept these important dignitaries in the Melawati palace. Right? It's also within the nearby the main island, basically. Okay. Now the second palace, you will find very surprised that there is also another palace. Actually, this palace is known as the Darul Ihsan Palace, yeah, or Istana Darul Ihsan. This palace, you can see the flag of Selangor. It's because, of course, because this piece of land, formerly known as Perang Besar, belonged to Selangor. So that's the reason why, as a respect to the Sultan of Selangor, the federal government contributed this one small piece of land to be the palace of the Selangor, to be gifted to the Sultan of Selangor over here. Right? So it is within at the lakeside, opposite of the Pink Mosque, actually. Very, very beautiful building as well. And then you'll find this very unique mosque. Yeah, there are actually two very main mosques found in Putrajaya. The next mosque is actually the steel mosque. Actually, the whole mosque was made of steel. So that's the reason why this mosque is known as the steel mosque, or we also call it as the Tuanku Mizan Zainal Abidin Mosque. This mosque is actually just right in the middle part of the island, okay? And this is actually very near to the Palace of Justice, all right? Okay. Then next to the, opposite, yeah, basically, you can find another very unique building, yeah, that is the Malaysia Energy Commission headquarters. Of course, as to show that we are very environmental conscious, so that as such, this Energy Commission headquarters has to have a very unique design building as well. So it's just right opposite end of the palace, just behind the Palace of Justice as well. Okay. Now, for this Department of Islamic Development Malaysia, this building is actually located just next to the Steel Mosque. Okay, just next to the Steel Mosque, right? Okay, and then we have the Menara Prisma, or the Prism Tower. Yeah, this is also another next, which is very unique building. All right, which is actually located next to the Putrajaya Corporation. And then you'll find this very unique building where on the rooftop they are having a field. Yeah, you can see greenery throughout. That is actually the HERIOT University in Malaysia. Okay. Then we have the MERCU TANDA Putrajaya, or basically we call it the icon of Putrajaya. Ladies and gentlemen, for information, actually, yeah, when during the open ceremony of Putrajaya, Tun Dr. Mahathir actually left a letter, yeah, being planted in this monument itself, yeah, and actually been mentioned by the year of 2020. Then only they can have this letter being read out to the people of Malaysia. But then, of course, yeah, very unfortunately, Malaysia right up till today, we haven't reached the developed nation yet. And furthermore, of course, yeah, probably it's due to Tun Dr. Mahathir is still alive, yeah, because he's already 98 years old, very long life, yeah. So basically, until today, the letter is not been read to Malaysians yet. Okay, so this icon of Putrajaya was actually located in the Putra Garden, right in the city center as well. Okay, another very unique design is actually the Millennium Tower. The Millennium Tower from far, as you see, it looks like a rocket. Yeah, it looks like a rocket. Now, this rocket, yeah, is actually known as the Millennium Tower. Yeah, from the sky, the bird eye view is actually, it looks like the hibiscus. Yeah, hibiscus is the national flower of Malaysia. All right. Now, the unique part of this whole Millennium Tower is actually, as mentioned, the design looks like hibiscus, and then as you walk along the pathway, the glasses, they actually have been crafted the history development of Malaysia onto the glasses. So basically, when you go to the Millennium Tower, you will be able to understand the development of Malaysia well. So it's actually located at the lakeside as well, right? And then, of course, one of the very, very unique and beautiful hotel found in Putrajaya is the Pullman Hotel. Now, the Pullman Hotel, yeah, externally, if you see over here, it has the concept of the building of the Malay houses from Terengganu. And then another unique feature of this hotel is actually the rooms. The rooms basically they designed to the three main races of Malaysia. That is the Malay, Chinese, and India. So basically, the rooms that you found in Pullman Hotel, they are of three different concepts of design based on the ethnic of Malaysia. Right, so it's actually very nearby to the PICC. Okay, and then just right opposite of this Pullman Hotel, you'll find another twin tower. Yeah, of course, when I say twin tower, that is those two buildings are alike, exactly just like the building over here. One of it on the left-hand side, that is the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. The right-hand side is actually the Ministry of Higher Education in Malaysia. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed the whole video over here. And as usual, if you have friends or families who wanted to come over here to Malaysia, you're most welcome to write or WhatsApp to me. Okay. And of course, if you like to know further about, you want to know further about Putrajaya, please do give me some comment. Yeah, leave some comment over here in the YouTube. Okay. Now, and then, of course, I hope that you will click like and subscribe. Yeah, the reason to subscribe is, of course, that you will receive the notification of any new postings on my part over here. So I thank you, or terima kasih to you for viewing this video. Thank you very much. Bye.